Tyler was pacing in our apartment when I came home from my shift at Boston Memorial. I should have noticed the tension in his shoulders, the way he kept looking at his phone every few seconds. Should have paid attention to the fear bleeding through his usual swagger, but I was tired. 8 hours of monitoring vitals and changing IVs, and all I wanted was a shower and sleep. "We need to talk." His voice came out wrong. Too controlled. Too careful. I set my bag down, already feeling dread pooling in my stomach. About what? He turned, and that was when I saw it. The desperation in his eyes, the way his hands shook slightly despite how hard he tried to keep them steady. About us. About the situation we're in. What situation? I moved closer, searching his face for clues. I owe people money. A lot of money. His laugh was bitter, broken, and I don't have it. The apartment suddenly felt smaller, walls pressing in. What people? How much? Guys who don't accept payment plans? Guys who break things when you can't deliver? He ran his hands through his hair, pulled hard enough that it had to hurt. $80,000. The number hit me like physical force. 80,000? Tyler, what did you do? I was moving product for them. Just supposed to be temporary. Easy money while I looked for real work. His voice cracked. But I got pulled over last month, remember? When I said it was just a speeding ticket? You had drugs in the car. The realization made my knees weak. I sat heavily on our worn couch. Cocaine. About 100 grand worth. I dumped it before the cops searched me. He let me go with a warning. But now Julian wants his money or his product, and I have neither. Julian? I forced his name out through numb lips. Julian Graves. Runs operations in Boston and Providence. He's not the kind of person you cross. Tyler knelt in front of me, grabbed my hands. I tried to work out a deal. Offered to pay him back over time, but he said time costs interest I can't afford. So what happens now? Even as I asked, I knew the answer would destroy everything. He wants something else. Tyler wouldn't meet my eyes. Something I can give him that's worth the debt. My stomach turned. What could you possibly have that's worth $80,000? You. The word hung between us. You're a surgical nurse. 4 years of experience. He needs medical staff for his operations. Clinics where people go when hospitals ask too many questions. I jerked my hands away. Stood so fast the room tilted. You offered me. Like property. It's just 2 years. 2 years working for him, and the debt's cleared. Tyler stood too, reaching for me. We're free. We're not anything. I backed away, barely able to process what he'd done. You sold me to a criminal. I saved us both. His voice hardened. You think he was just going to let this go? He would have killed me, Madison. Then come after you anyway because he knows about you now. At least this way. There's structure. Rules. Rules in illegal medical clinics. I laughed, and it came out slightly hysterical. Do you even hear yourself? You don't understand how this works. The fear was back in his eyes. Graves doesn't make idle threats. I had to give him something, or we're both dead. Then you should have thought about that before you started trafficking cocaine. I grabbed my purse, headed for the bedroom. I'm leaving. Where are you going to go? His voice followed me. He knows where you work. Knows your routine. Running just makes it harder for everyone. I don't care. I pulled out a duffel bag, started shoving clothes inside. I'm not doing this. Tyler appeared in the doorway. Then I'm dead by tomorrow. They're coming for an answer tonight. Either I deliver you to the meeting point, or they deliver me to the morgue. My hands froze on a sweater. That's emotional blackmail. That's reality. He leaned against the doorframe, looking more defeated than I'd ever seen him. I know I messed up. I know this is my fault. But please, Madison, please. 2 years and we're out. We can move somewhere else. Start over. I'll never touch drugs again. I swear. I wanted to believe him. Wanted to think there was a version of this where we survived intact. But looking at Tyler, at this man I'd lived with for 2 years, I saw only a stranger who'd bet my life without asking. I can't. The words came out firm despite the shaking in my hands. I won't. Then we're both dead. His voice went flat. Because Graves doesn't accept no. If I don't bring you tonight, his people come for both of us. You think you're safe at the hospital? He has connections everywhere. Call the police. Turn yourself in. At least in jail you're protected. You think protective custody stops someone like Graves? Tyler laughed harshly. He has people inside, guards on payroll. I'd be dead in a week. That's not my problem. I zipped the duffel. You made these choices. Face the consequences. I moved past him toward the door. His hand shot out, grabbed my wrist. Not hard enough to hurt, but firm enough to stop me. Let go. My voice dropped dangerous. I can't let you leave. The desperation in his eyes was genuine. I'm sorry, Madison. I really am. But I can't die for this. And I can't live enslaved to a criminal because of your mistakes. I twisted my wrist free. Whatever we had, it's over. Don't contact me. Don't follow me. We're done. I walked out of that apartment into the December cold without looking back. Made it to my car parked 3 blocks away before the reality of what I'd just done hit me. Tyler had connected me to Julian Graves, a man who ran illegal clinics and moved cocaine. A man who now knew my name, my face, where I worked. Running wouldn't make that information disappear. It would just make me harder to find, temporarily. I sat in my car, engine running, trying to think through the panic. I could go to the police, turn Tyler in, ask for protection. But if Graves had connections like Tyler claimed, would that actually keep me safe? Or just delay the inevitable? I could leave Boston, drive to another state, change my name, start over. But that took money I didn't have, and time to arrange. And Tyler said they wanted an answer tonight. My phone rang. Tyler's name flashed on the screen. I declined the call. It rang again. And again. After the 5th attempt, I answered. What? They're coming to the hospital tomorrow. His voice was strained. Graves wants to meet you. Wants to make the offer himself. If you don't show up, they come to your apartment. Your friend Camilla's place. Everywhere you might run. How do you know where Camilla lives? Ice slid down my spine. I told them everything. Names, addresses, routines. I had to give them something. The line went quiet for a beat. I'm sorry. I was desperate. You're disgusting. I ended the call, hands shaking so badly I nearly dropped the phone. He'd given them Camilla, my best friend who had nothing to do with any of this, who'd helped me through my parents' deaths, who'd supported me through nursing school. Now she was in danger because Tyler couldn't handle his own consequences. I called her immediately. When she answered, music played in the background, voices laughing. She was out, having fun, completely unaware. Camilla, I need you to listen carefully. My voice came out steadier than I felt. Don't go home tonight. Stay with friends or get a hotel. And don't tell me where. What? Why? The music faded like she'd moved somewhere quieter. Tyler got involved with dangerous people. Gave them your information. I don't know if they'll actually come after you, but I can't risk it. Please. Madison, what the hell is going on? Fear crept into her voice. I can't explain right now. Just trust me. Stay away from your apartment. Don't follow your normal routine. I'll call you when it's safe. Where are you going to go? I don't know yet, but I'll figure it out. I love you. Be careful. I ended the call before she could ask more questions. Sat in my car trying to make a plan that didn't end with me dead or enslaved. The only option that made sense was running, getting as far from Boston as possible before tomorrow's meeting. I had $800 in my savings account. My next paycheck wouldn't come for another week, but $800 could get me to another state. Could buy me time to figure out something more permanent. I drove home to the apartment I'd shared with Tyler, parked down the block where he couldn't see my car from the windows. The lights were off inside. He must have left to report my refusal to Graves, to beg for more time, or to accept whatever punishment came from failure. I let myself in quietly, grabbed my documents from the safe, Social Security card, birth certificate, nursing license, passport, added my laptop and the few pieces of jewelry my mother had left me, things I could sell if necessary. The apartment felt foreign, like I was robbing a stranger's home. 2 years of life here, and suddenly, none of it mattered. None of it was worth staying for. I left before Tyler returned, drove to an ATM, withdrew my full 800. Then I pointed my car north and started driving. The plan, if it could be called that, was to reach the Canadian border, cross somewhere small and rural where security was lighter, disappear into a country where graves had no immediate connections. It was desperate and stupid, and probably wouldn't work, but it was something. It was action, instead of waiting for violence to find me. The snow started falling around Portsmouth, light at first, then heavier. Big flakes that stuck to the windshield faster than the wipers could clear them. The highway stretched ahead, nearly empty. Most people had sense enough to stay home during a blizzard, but I kept driving because stopping meant thinking. And thinking meant confronting how thoroughly my life had fallen apart, how I'd trusted the wrong person, made the wrong choices, and now faced consequences that could get me killed. My phone buzzed with messages. Tyler calling again and again. I turned it off completely. He'd already done enough damage. The deer appeared without warning. One moment, the road was clear. The next, a massive buck stood frozen in my headlights. I jerked the wheel hard. Too hard. The tires lost traction on black ice I hadn't known was there. The car spun in a sickening rotation that seemed to last forever and no time at all. Then impact. Metal crunching, glass shattering. The sensation of flipping. The world turned upside down and sideways. Pain, sharp and bright, across my forehead. Then darkness swallowed everything. Cold woke me. Bone deep, invasive. The kind that made thinking impossible. I was hanging sideways, seatbelt digging into my chest and shoulder. Broken glass glittered everywhere. Blood ran warm down my temple, the only heat I could feel. The car had rolled at least once, maybe twice. Landed on its side in what looked like a ravine several meters from the road. Smoke rose from somewhere under the hood, dark and threatening. I fumbled for the seatbelt release. It took 3 tries with fingers that wouldn't cooperate. When it finally clicked, I fell hard against the passenger side door, now beneath me. The impact drove air from my lungs, sent new pain shooting through my ribs. The driver's side window was above me, shattered but accessible. I kicked at the remaining glass, clearing an opening. Snow fell through it, landing on my face, cold enough to burn. I pulled myself through the window. Glass cut through my jeans, my palms. Blood mixed with snow as I hauled my body out of the wreck. The cold was immediate and brutal, stealing my breath. The car was wedged against a pine tree, crumpled beyond recognition. Smoke continued rising, carrying the smell of burning oil and antifreeze. I needed to move away from it, in case it caught fire. Needed to get back to the road where someone might see me. But when I tried to stand, my legs shook violently, barely holding weight. The world tilted, doubled, then cleared slightly before blurring again. Concussion, probably. Or shock. Or both. I stumbled toward where I thought the highway was, leaving dark footprints in the snow. Each step felt heavier than the last. My vision swam. Blood loss or hypothermia, I didn't know which. My nursing training supplied the information clinically. Core temperature dropping. Blood pressure falling. Time before loss of consciousness, limited. Help. I tried to shout, but it came out barely a whisper. There was no one to hear anyway. Just me and the endless Montana darkness. I made it maybe 20 meters before my knees gave out. Snow cushioned my fall, soft and almost welcoming. I couldn't get back up. Couldn't feel my fingers anymore. Couldn't feel much of anything except spreading numbness that felt almost peaceful. This is dying, I thought with strange clarity. Alone in the snow because I ran from one threat into another. Headlights cut through the white curtain ahead. For a moment, I thought I was hallucinating, but the lights grew stronger, brighter. An engine sound reached me, low and powerful. A vehicle slowed, stopped. Doors opened. Voices low and urgent. "Boss, we should keep moving. The roads are getting worse. There's someone in the snow." Another voice, deeper, commanding. Footsteps crunched through the drifts, coming closer. I tried to lift my head. Couldn't manage it. Strong hands turned me over, carefully checking for injuries. A man's face appeared above me, dark eyes scanning my wounds with clinical precision. He was younger than his authoritative voice suggested. Mid-30s, maybe. handsome in a way that seemed almost harsh, all sharp angles and focused intensity. "Can you hear me?" His voice was firm, but not unkind. I managed a small nod. "We're going to get you out of here." He didn't ask if I needed help. Didn't waste time with questions. He simply slid his arms under me and lifted like I weighed nothing. I should have been scared. Should have questioned why someone was on this empty highway at this hour. But consciousness was slipping away, and his chest was warm against my frozen skin. That was all that mattered. "Hospital?" I mumbled through numb lips. "How far along?" His arms tightened fractionally. 8 weeks. The admission came out automatic. "I'm pregnant. Franco." His voice sharpened, addressing someone else. "We're not going to Portland General. Call Dr. Harris. Tell him to meet us at the estate. Hypothermia? Head trauma? 8 weeks pregnant. Boss, she needs... We just came from a meeting with suppliers who don't like us. You think they won't have eyes on the hospital?" His tone left no room for argument. "We take her home. Harris can handle it." I wanted to protest. Wanted to insist on proper medical care. But darkness pulled at me insistently, and the warmth of the vehicle they placed me in felt like salvation. I heard fragments as consciousness faded. Phone calls being made. Medical terms I half understood. Someone saying my blood pressure was dropping. Then nothing at all. Waking up was gradual. Awareness came in layers. Softness beneath me that felt expensive. Warmth that didn't come from hospital blankets. Darkness that meant drawn curtains rather than unconsciousness. I opened my eyes to unfamiliar ceiling. Crown molding painted cream against darker walls. Definitely not a hospital. The bed I lay in was massive, covered in sheets that felt like silk against my skin. Panic hit sharp and immediate. I sat up too fast. Pain lanced through my skull, bright and blinding. My ribs screamed protest. I pressed a hand to my forehead, found gauze taped there, professional and neat. The door opened. A woman appeared, blonde and elegant, carrying a tray. She froze when she saw me awake. "You're up." "Good." She set the tray on the bedside table. "How do you feel?" "Where am I?" My voice came out rough, throat dry. "Safe." She poured water from a pitcher into a glass, offered it to me. "I'm Sophie Kane. You were in an accident. My brother and his associate found you on I-95. I took the water, drank carefully. Details from last night filtered back. The deer. The crash. Strong arms lifting me. A man's commanding voice ordering someone to call a doctor. Your brother. The one who found me. Vincent. She settled into a chair near the bed, movements graceful and controlled. He insisted on bringing you here rather than the hospital. Our family physician treated you. Why not a hospital? I set the glass down, studied her face for deception. Because you mentioned someone named Graves while you were barely conscious. Sophie's expression remained neutral. That name means something in our circles. Usually nothing good. The water in my stomach turned to ice. What circles? The kind where people don't call the police when problems arise. She met my eyes directly. The kind where Julian Graves runs illegal operations that hurt people. If you're running from him, a hospital would be the first place he'd look. I should leave. I pushed the covers back, tried to swing my legs out of bed. Fresh dizziness made the room tilt. Sophie stood, steadied me with a hand on my shoulder. You have a concussion. 2 cracked ribs, 12 stitches in your forehead. You're not going anywhere for at least a few days. I can't stay here, I don't even know you. Panic climbed my throat. I need to keep moving. The door opened again. The man from last night appeared. Vincent Kane. Daylight made him more imposing somehow. Tall, broad-shouldered, dressed in dark slacks and a button-down that probably cost more than my monthly rent. His eyes fixed on me with unsettling intensity. You're awake. He moved into the room like he owned every space he entered. Probably because he did. Good. We need to talk. Sophie rose. I'll give you privacy. Stay. I surprised myself with the firmness in my voice. Whatever he wants to say, you can hear it too. Vincent's mouth quirked slightly. Not quite a smile. Smart. Never trust a strange man alone. He pulled the chair closer, sat with controlled precision. So tell me, what did you do to make Julian Graves interested in you? I didn't do anything. My hands fisted in the expensive sheets. My ex-boyfriend owed him money. Cocaine he lost during a traffic stop. $80,000 worth. And let me guess. He offered you as payment. Vincent's voice stayed level, but something dark flickered in his eyes. 2 years working in Graves's illegal clinics. I'm a surgical nurse. Apparently, that's valuable in his line of work. It is. He runs operations where people can't risk hospital questions. Gunshot wounds, organ removal for black market trade, implanting drugs in mules for transport. His clinics handle it all. Vincent leaned back, studying me. You refused. Of course I refused. I met his gaze. I'm not property to be traded. No, you're not. He said it like a fact, not a compliment. But Graves doesn't handle refusal well. You ran, which means he's looking for you. Actively. My ex said he has connections everywhere. I wrapped my arms around myself, felt the tape pull on my stitches. Hospitals, police, transportation hubs. Running was all I could think to do. Running got you nearly frozen to death in a ravine. Sophie's voice was gentle but pointed. You need a better plan. I don't have a better plan. The admission hurt. I have $800 and no safe place to go. Graves knows my face, my name, where I worked. Even if I leave the state, he can find me if he wants to badly enough. He wants to. Vincent stood, moved to the window, looked out at whatever his property held. Men like Graves treat defiance as personal insult. You didn't just refuse his offer. You made him look weak to whoever he'd promised you to. That's unforgivable in his world. Then what am I supposed to do? Frustration bled into my voice. Just wait for him to find me? You stay here while we figure out a solution. Vincent turned back to face me. Graves and I have history. Bad history. Keeping you away from him serves my interests as much as yours. What kind of history? I needed to understand what I was walking into. The kind where our operations overlap in ways that benefit neither of us. He moved drugs I refused to touch. Traffics people I won't allow in my territory. We've had confrontations before. None resolved peacefully. So you're criminals too. I said it flatly, watching for his reaction. Yes. No hesitation. No justification. I control territory from New Hampshire to Maine. Contraband, gambling, protection services. Things that exist outside the law but follow rules. Rules Graves doesn't respect. And why should I trust you over him? I pushed, even though part of me already knew the answer. He was sitting in a mansion he owned, and I was wearing borrowed clothes in a bed I hadn't chosen. Trust was already irrelevant, because I pulled you out of the snow when I could have kept driving. Vincent crossed his arms. Because my physician spent 3 hours stabilizing you instead of dumping you at an emergency room. Because you're still here, unharmed, when I could have used you as leverage against Graves already if that was my goal. He had a point, a terrifying, logical point. How long are you planning to keep me here? As long as it takes to resolve the threat. Sophie answered when her brother didn't. Could be days, could be weeks. Depends on how quickly we can neutralize Graves's interest in you. Neutralize. I repeated the word. What does that mean exactly? It means we're going to make you more trouble than you're worth to him. Vincent's expression hardened. Or we're going to remove him from the equation entirely. Whichever proves more efficient. Remove him. You mean kill him. I forced the words out. If necessary. Vincent didn't flinch from the implication. Would that bother you? A man who wanted to enslave you for 2 years? Who's responsible for trafficking and exploitation? Who would have killed your ex-boyfriend as punishment for your escape? Tyler's dead? The room seemed to shrink. Found 2 days ago. 2 bullets to the head. Very much Graves's signature. Sophie's voice was matter-of-fact. Boston police are investigating it as drug-related homicide. They want to question you since you disappeared the same night. Oh, God. I pressed a hand to my mouth. Nausea rose sharp and immediate. That's not your fault. Vincent's voice cut through the spiral. Tyler made his choices. He involved you without consent. Gave your information to dangerous people. Then paid the price for failing to deliver what he promised. His death is on him and Graves, not you. I hated that he was right. Hated that I felt more relief than grief. Tyler had been willing to sell me to save himself. That didn't deserve mourning. The police think I'm missing or dead too. I looked between them. You said they're investigating. We planted evidence suggesting you fled to New York. Sophie's tone stayed casual. Security footage from a bus station showing someone in your coat boarding a southbound bus. The footage is grainy enough to be convincing, clear enough to give them a trail to follow. You tampered with evidence. In a murder investigation. We protected you from becoming a suspect in a murder you didn't commit. Sophie corrected. There's a difference. Is there? I wasn't sure anymore. The lines between right and wrong had blurred so thoroughly in the past 48 hours that I could barely see them. You're angry, Vincent observed. That's reasonable. Your life was destroyed by someone else's choices, and now you're trapped in a stranger's home being told to trust people who admit to being criminals. I understand the frustration. Do you? I challenged. Have you ever had someone steal your autonomy? Trade you like merchandise? His expression shifted. Something dangerous and old moving behind his eyes. My father was murdered when I was 25, shot in the head by a rival who thought killing him would destabilize our operations. I inherited an organization in chaos and spent 3 years killing or intimidating everyone who thought my age made me weak. So no, not the same situation. But I understand having your life ripped apart and being forced to adapt or die. The room fell quiet. Outside I heard voices, movement, the sounds of a household functioning around us. I don't want to be a burden, I finally said. If I'm staying here, I need to be useful. I have medical training. If you have a physician on staff, I can assist him. Dr. Harris could use help. Sophie looked to her brother. We have 30 people living on this property. Someone's always sick or injured. Vincent studied me for a long moment. Fine. You work with Harris, learn the property, stay out of sight. We'll handle graves. And if you can't, I had to ask, if he finds me anyway, then I'll kill him before he touches you. Vincent said it like a promise, simple and absolute. No one takes what's mine. I'm not yours. The words came out automatic. You're under my protection. Same thing, in this world. He headed for the door, paused. Rest today. Harris will check on you this evening. Tomorrow you can start making yourself useful. He left without waiting for response. Sophie lingered a moment longer. He's abrasive, I know. But Vincent keeps his promises. You're safe here, Elena. Safer than anywhere else you could run to. How do you know my name? I hadn't told them. Your driver's license survived the crash. She smiled slightly. We're thorough. After she left, I lay back against the pillows, mind racing. I was in the home of criminals who'd saved my life, being hunted by other criminals who wanted to enslave me. My ex-boyfriend was dead. The police thought I fled, and I was apparently under the protection of a man who spoke about murder like discussing the weather. The logical part of my brain screamed that I should be terrified, should escape at the first opportunity. But the exhausted, practical part recognized a basic truth. I had no money, no safe destination, and enemies who wouldn't stop hunting me. Vincent Kane might be dangerous, but he was dangerous in my favor. For now, that was enough. I closed my eyes, let myself sink into expensive sheets and manufactured safety. Tomorrow, I'd figure out how to navigate this world I'd fallen into. Today, I'd just try to survive. 2 weeks passed in strange routine. Mornings assisting Dr. Harris with everything from minor cuts to one-bullet graze that nobody explained. Afternoons learning the property, memorizing exits, understanding exactly whose protection I'd accepted. Evenings sitting across from Vincent and Sophie at dinner, learning their history through carefully chosen stories. Sophie told me about their grandfather immigrating from Ireland, facing discrimination so brutal he'd built his own support network. Protection that evolved into something less legal over generations. Vincent rarely spoke about their father's murder, but when he did, his voice carried weight that made me understand why people feared him. I was careful not to ask too many questions, careful to be useful without becoming entangled. But every day made leaving feel more complicated. The shooting lessons started on a Tuesday. Vincent appeared at the medical office where I was restocking supplies. You need to learn basic defense. He didn't frame it as a question. Come with me. I followed him across the property to a private range built into the hillside. The setup was professional. multiple lanes with targets at varying distances. He handed me safety glasses and ear protection before pulling a pistol from the case. This is a Glock 19. Standard 9mm. 15 rounds. He demonstrated the grip, the stance, the sight alignment. His movements were economical, practiced. This was someone who'd fired thousands of rounds, not someone playing at competence. I've never held a gun before. My hands felt clumsy accepting the weight. I know. That's why we're here. He moved behind me, adjusted my grip, my posture. His hands were warm through my shirt, impersonal but attentive. Breathe. Aim center mass. Squeeze the trigger, don't pull. The first shot kicked harder than expected. Missed the target completely. The second went wide left. By the 10th, I was at least hitting paper. Better. Vincent's voice came close to my ear. Again. We spent an hour there. My arms ached. My ears rang despite the protection. But by the end, I was grouping shots within the target outline. Not center mass, but no longer wildly inaccurate. Why are you teaching me this? I asked as we packed up. Because Graves is still looking for you. Ryan intercepted communications. The reward is up to $80,000 now. Vincent's expression stayed neutral, but tension lived in his shoulders. If something happens and I'm not close enough to protect you, you need to protect yourself. You think he'll find me here? Not a question. I think he'll try. And I think you deserve better than helplessness if he succeeds. The lessons became routine. 3 times a week, an hour each session. Vincent was a patient teacher, correcting mistakes without condescension, praising improvement without excess. The time together felt intimate in ways that had nothing to do with attraction, though that existed too. Undeniable and carefully ignored by both of us, until it wasn't. He came to the medical office one evening, after dinner, after most of the household had settled. Blood dripped from his hand, soaking through a makeshift bandage. What happened? I gestured him to the exam table, already pulling on gloves. Disagreement at a business meeting. Glass got involved. His voice stayed level despite the obvious pain. This needs stitches. I unwrapped the bandage carefully. Deep laceration across the palm, clean edges. Could have been worse. Could have severed tendons. I know. That's why I'm here. Dr. Harris is better suited for this. I prepped the suture kit anyway, hands moving through familiar motions. Harris is treating one of the guards who got shot during the same disagreement. Vincent watched me work. You're capable. I trust you. Something in those last 3 words made my breath catch. I focused on cleaning the wound, injecting local anesthetic, giving myself time to steady. This will hurt. The anesthetic helps, but doesn't eliminate everything. I've had worse. He didn't flinch when I started the first stitch. We were close. Closer than during shooting practice. I could feel the heat of him. Smell expensive cologne mixed with copper blood. His eyes tracked my movements with intensity that had nothing to do with monitoring my technique. 6 stitches. I tied off the last one, bandaged his hand with careful precision. Keep it dry for 48 hours. Come back in a week so I can remove them. His uninjured hand caught mine before I could step away. Thank you. It's what you're paying me for. Flippant, to cover the way my pulse jumped. I'm not paying you anything. His thumb brushed across my knuckles. You're here because I chose to protect you. This, what you're doing for my people, that's your choice. Then thank you for the choice. I should have pulled away. Didn't, Elena. My name and his voice sounded different. Important. You should know something. What? If circumstances were different, if you weren't under my protection, if Graves wasn't hunting you, I would have asked you to dinner weeks ago. Proper dinner. Not strategy meetings disguised as meals. The admission hung between us, honest and complicated. But circumstances aren't different. I finally stepped back, stripped off the gloves. I'm here because I have nowhere else to go. Because someone wants to hurt me and you're willing to stop that from happening. That's not exactly a foundation for anything. No, it's not. He stood, flexed his bandaged hand experimentally. Doesn't change what I said. Vincent left before I could respond. Left me standing in the medical office wondering what the hell I was supposed to do with that information. Sophie found me an hour later, still organizing supplies that didn't need organizing. He told you? She said it with certainty, settling into the chair Vincent had vacated. Told me what? That he's interested. She smiled slightly. Vincent is many things, but subtle isn't one of them. It doesn't matter. I shoved gauze packages into drawers with more force than necessary. I'm not staying here permanently. Once Graves is handled, I'll leave. Build my life somewhere safe. And if you don't want to leave? Sophie's question was gentle. I have to want to leave. The alternative is unthinkable. Why? Because my brother runs illegal operations? Because this household exists outside normal law? She leaned forward. Elena, you've been here 3 weeks. Watched how we operate. We're not monsters. We protect people who can't protect themselves through official channels. We provide services the law won't. Yes, we break rules, but we have our own code. A code that includes murder when necessary. I finally looked at her. When necessary to protect our people? Yes. Sophie didn't flinch from it. Would you rather Vincent let Graves take you? Follow his rules because they're legal even though they'd destroy you? I don't know. The honest answer. I don't know what I think anymore. The alarm shattered the moment. Loud, insistent, echoing through the entire property. Sophie's expression shifted instantly, all casual warmth replaced with sharp focus. Stay here. Lock the door behind me. Don't open it for anyone except Vincent, me, or Ryan. She was moving before I could respond. I locked the door, then immediately felt ridiculous. If someone wanted in, a lock wouldn't stop them. I grabbed the small blade from the medical supplies, the only weapon available, and positioned myself where I could see the door. Gunfire erupted somewhere outside. Not close, but not distant enough. Shouts followed, commands I couldn't make out clearly. My medical training kicked in automatically. Assess, prepare, respond. I pulled out the trauma kit, laid out supplies I might need. The shooting stopped. Silence worse than noise. I waited. Blade gripped tight, trying to remember everything Vincent had taught me about defending myself. The knock, when it came, made me jump. Elena, it's Ryan. Open up. I recognized his voice but hesitated. How do I know it's really you? Because if I was someone else, I'd have kicked the door in already. Frustration bled through. Boss needs you. One of ours is hit. I unlocked the door. Ryan stood there. No visible injuries, but tension radiated off him. Follow me. Stay close. He led me through corridors I'd walked dozens of times, now feeling foreign under emergency. We ended up in one of the security rooms, converted hastily to triage. A man lay on the table, mid-20s, bleeding from his thigh. Another guard applied pressure, but blood seeped through his fingers. Femoral artery. I assessed instantly, already moving to the table. How long has he been bleeding? 5 minutes, maybe 6. The guard applying pressure looked relieved to see me. Can you fix it? Not here. He needs surgery, proper equipment, but I can stabilize him for transport. I worked while talking, applying a tourniquet above the wound, checking his pulse, his color. He's in shock. We need fluids running now. Hospital? Ryan asked. Has to be. I met his eyes. This is beyond field medicine. If we don't get him to an OR in the next hour, he dies. Boss won't like it. Graves has people watching the hospitals. Then Boss can decide what matters more, his security or his man's life. I didn't soften the words. But decide fast because this tourniquet only buys us 60 minutes. Vincent appeared in the doorway as if summoned, took in the situation instantly. Get him to Portland General. Use the ambulance we keep for emergencies. Ryan, you and 2 others escort, armed but concealed. Anyone approaches who isn't hospital staff, you call me immediately. What about Graves? Ryan questioned. I'll handle Graves. Vincent's eyes were cold. He just made this personal. After they left with the injured guard, Vincent turned to me. You did well. Will he survive? I was cleaning blood off my hands. Tried not to think about how much of it there'd been. If he gets to surgery fast enough, probably. Thanks to you. He moved closer. Are you hurt? No. Just shaken. I looked at him properly. What happened? 3 men tried to infiltrate the property, hired by Graves. We intercepted them, but not before one got a shot off. Vincent's voice was matter-of-fact, discussing it like a business setback. One of them survived the encounter. He's being questioned now. Questioned. Another word that meant something darker. He'll tell us what Graves is planning. Then we'll end this. Vincent reached out, brushed a strand of hair from my face, gestured gentle, at odds with everything else about the moment. You shouldn't have to live like this. Under siege, treating gunshot wounds, wondering if today's the day you're found. I didn't have much choice in falling into this situation. But I'm choosing to stay now. The words surprised me, but they were true. You kept me alive. Your people are risking themselves to protect me. That means something. It means you're one of us now. He said it with finality. Whether you wanted that or not, it's done. Graves sees you as mine. My people accept you as family. There's no going back to who you were before. I know, and maybe I don't want to go back. That woman let Tyler walk all over her. Believed his promises. Trusted the wrong person. I met Vincent's eyes. This version of me trusts carefully, protects herself, fights back when threatened. Good. He smiled slightly, something warm breaking through the cold calculation. That version will survive what's coming. What is coming? I had to ask. War. Vincent moved to the window, looked out at his property, his kingdom. Graves declared it when he sent men here. Now I finish it. Permanently. How long until it's over? The question felt childish even as I asked. Weeks. Maybe a month. He glanced back. Can you wait that long? Do I have a choice? You always have a choice. Leave if you want. I'll provide money, new identity, protection until you're settled somewhere far from here. But if you stay, you're staying through all of it. The violence, the uncertainty, whatever comes next. I stayed silent, weighing options that all felt impossible. Think about it. Vincent headed for the door. Whatever you decide, tell me by morning. He left me alone with medical supplies and blood-stained tables, with the weight of decisions I wasn't qualified to make. But as I cleaned up the evidence of violence, I realized something. I'd already decided. Had decided the moment I chose to learn shooting instead of planning escape. Had decided every time I sat at Vincent's table and learned his world instead of rejecting it. I wasn't leaving. Not yet. Maybe not ever. Morning came with news that changed everything. Ryan found me in the medical office, organizing inventory that Dr. Harris had requested. Boss wants you in the main office. His expression was grim. Now, I followed him through the house, past guards who watched with tension I'd learned to recognize. Something had happened. Something bad. Vincent stood behind his desk, Sophie beside him, both studying a laptop screen. They looked up when I entered. Graves took Lily. Vincent's voice was flat, controlled rage simmering beneath. 3 hours ago, outside her campus in Boston. Lily? I didn't know that name. My cousin. Sophie's voice cracked slightly. 19 years old. Full scholarship to Boston University. She has nothing to do with any of this. Graves sent a message. Vincent turned the laptop toward me. A photo filled the screen. Young woman, blonde, terrified but unharmed, holding today's newspaper. Below it, a text message. Fair trade. The girl for the nurse. Tomorrow, 6 p.m., abandoned pier in Portsmouth. Come alone, or I start sending pieces. The blood drained from my face. He took an innocent person because of me. He took her because he's desperate. Vincent closed the laptop. You've been hidden here for 3 weeks. He's losing face with his people, losing credibility. This is him forcing my hand. So give him what he wants. I heard the words leave my mouth. Trade me for her. She doesn't deserve this. No. Vincent's response was immediate. She's 19. I pressed forward. Her whole life ahead of her. I'm the one Graves wants. Let me fix this. By enslaving yourself to a trafficker? Sophie moved closer. That's not fixing anything. That's letting him win. It's saving an innocent girl from suffering because I exist. My voice rose. How many people have to get hurt protecting me? Your guard almost died 2 days ago. Now your cousin is kidnapped. When does it stop? When Graves is dead. Vincent came around the desk. Which will be tomorrow, after we extract Lily and eliminate the threat permanently. He'll expect a trap. I shook my head. He's not stupid. He'll have countermeasures. So will we. Ryan spoke up. We've been planning for something like this. Multiple contingencies, backup teams, exit strategies. And if it goes wrong? I looked between them. If Lily dies because you tried to be clever, she won't. Vincent's certainty was absolute. But I need you to trust me. Trust that I can protect both of you. I barely know you. The protest felt weak even to me. You know I pulled you from the snow when I could have driven past. You know I've kept you safe for 3 weeks, despite Graves putting a bounty on information about you. You know I'm willing to start a war to keep him from touching you. Vincent stepped closer. That's enough to know. Sophie's phone buzzed. She checked it, face paling. Vincent. What? Camilla Torres, Elena's best friend. Graves' people just grabbed her too. Same message. She's leveraged to ensure Elena shows up tomorrow. No. The word came out broken. Not Camilla. Please, not her. She was asking questions. Sophie's voice was gentle. Hired a private investigator to find you. The investigator talked to the wrong people, and word got back to Graves. This is my fault. I sank into the nearest chair. Everyone I care about is in danger because I ran. Everyone you care about is in danger because Graves is a predator who can't handle defiance. Vincent knelt in front of me, forced me to meet his eyes. This is not your fault. This is him. And tomorrow we end him. How? 2 hostages now. How do you save both without giving him what he wants? We make him think he's getting what he wants. Ryan pulled up building schematics on his phone. The pier is open ground. Terrible tactical position for him. He'll have counter-snipers, contingency teams, probably vehicles positioned for quick escape. But we'll have more. Walk me through it. Vincent stood. All business. Full plan. The next 6 hours were intensive preparation. Vincent's team worked with military precision, mapping every angle of the pier, identifying sightlines, planning for dozens of scenarios. I watched, absorbing how thoroughly they approached violence. This wasn't impulsive. It was calculated, professional, almost surgical. You need to be there, Sophie told me as evening fell. Graves specified you in the exchange. If you don't show, he'll assume trap and hurt the hostages. I know. I'd already accepted that part. What happens to me once we're out there? Ryan extracts you the moment Lily and Camilla are secure. Vincent was checking weapons as he spoke, movements automatic. You don't stay exposed longer than necessary. And you? I asked him. I make sure Graves doesn't walk away. He loaded a magazine, chambered a round. This ends tomorrow, one way or another. Sophie pulled me aside while Vincent and Ryan continued planning. Are you scared? Terrified, I admitted, but more scared of doing nothing while people suffer because of me. Vincent cares about you, she said it matter-of-factly, more than he's cared about anyone since our mother died. If something happens to you tomorrow, it will break something in him that won't heal. Nothing's going to happen. I tried to sound confident. He's too prepared for that. Preparation doesn't account for luck. Sophie's eyes were serious. Or for Graves being more desperate than we estimate. Just promise me if things go wrong, you'll run. Don't try to be heroic. Your life matters too. I couldn't promise that. Not when Camilla and Lily were suffering because Graves wanted me. But I nodded anyway. Let her believe I'd prioritize self-preservation. That night, I couldn't sleep. Found myself wandering to the library at 3 a.m., drawn by light under the door. Vincent sat there, glass of whiskey in hand, staring into the fireplace. Can't sleep either? I settled onto the couch beside him. Too much riding on tomorrow. He didn't look away from the flames. If I miscalculate, people die. People I'm responsible for protecting. You've done this before. Planned operations, managed risk. Not with someone I care about in the line of fire. He finally met my eyes. Usually I can stay detached. Calculate odds without emotion interfering. But you being out there tomorrow, exposed to him, changes the equation. I'll be fine. Ryan will extract me quickly. Unless something goes wrong. Unless Graves has surprises we didn't anticipate. Unless luck favors him instead of us. Vincent set down his glass. There are too many variables I can't control. So control what you can. I shifted closer. You've positioned your people perfectly. You know the terrain. You have numerical advantage. Focus on that. Logic doesn't help when fear is involved. His voice dropped. And I am afraid of losing you before I've even had a chance to know what we could be. The admission settled between us, honest and vulnerable in a way Vincent rarely allowed. Then we make sure you don't lose me. I reached for his hand, the one I'd stitched 2 weeks ago. We both survive tomorrow. Come back to this library, drink better whiskey, and figure out what we could be without death threats hanging over us. You make it sound simple, but his fingers interlaced with mine. Maybe it is. Maybe we're overcomplicating because we're used to everything being difficult. I leaned my head against his shoulder. Tomorrow, we save Lily and Camilla. We stop Graves. Then we get to choose what happens next. And if we don't survive? His voice was barely audible. Then at least we were honest about wanting to. I looked up at him. That counts for something. Vincent kissed me then. Slow, deliberate, like he was memorizing the moment. When he pulled back, his expression held determination mixed with something softer. Promise me something. He brushed his thumb across my cheek. If everything goes wrong tomorrow, if Ryan tells you to run, you do it. You don't look back. You take the money and identity documents Sophie prepared, and you disappear. Live the life you deserve. Only if you promise the same. If you're outnumbered, outgunned, if staying means dying, you retreat. You don't throw your life away on principle. Deal. He kissed me again. Longer this time. We stayed in that library until dawn, not talking, just existing together. Stealing peace before violence. When Ryan knocked to say the team was ready, Vincent stood with reluctance. Stay close to Ryan tomorrow. He helped me up. Do exactly what he says. When he says it. Trust him the way you've learned to trust me. I will. I straightened his collar unnecessarily, needing to touch him. Come back to me after this is over. I intend to. He kissed my forehead. We have unfinished business. The drive to Portsmouth took 2 hours. I rode with Ryan and 2 other guards, while Vincent led a separate team. Sophie coordinated from a mobile command center a 1/4 mile from the pier. Everyone wore communication devices, listened to constant updates as we approached. The pier looked exactly like the photos. Industrial, isolated, abandoned, perfect for violence. I could see why Graves chose it. Multiple approach vectors, clear sight lines, water access for alternate escape. Remember the plan. Ryan handed me a thin vest. Bulletproof, but lightweight enough to hide under your jacket. You walk out when Vincent signals. We exchange at the midpoint. The second Lily and Camilla are clear, I'm pulling you back. What if Graves won't release them until he has me? The obvious flaw. Then we adapt. Ryan's jaw tightened. But you don't get within his reach if I can help it. Vincent's voice came through the earpiece. All teams in position. Elena, you ready? As I'll ever be. I climbed out of the vehicle, felt cold wind off the ocean cut through my jacket. The pier stretched ahead, dark water on both sides. Graves's vehicles appeared from the opposite end, right on schedule. 6 p.m. exactly. He stepped out first. Mid-40s, expensive suit, cruelty in every line of his face. 4 armed men flanked him. Then they pulled Lily and Camilla from the second vehicle. Both women looked terrified but unharmed. Relief hit so hard I nearly stumbled. Ryan's hand steadied my elbow. Vincent Kane! Graves' voice carried across the distance. I see you brought my property. Shall we make this exchange? Vincent appeared beside me, commanding and cold. Send the women. You get Elena. That was the deal. Ladies first, I think. Graves smiled. Wouldn't want you to get any ideas about taking my generous trade and running. This was the moment everything could collapse. The moment where trust or paranoia determined outcomes. Vincent looked at me. Ready? Yes. I stepped forward. Graves, let them go. I'm what you want. You certainly are. Graves pushed Lily forward, kept Camilla at his side. One at a time. Can't be too careful with Kane's reputation. Lily started walking, terrified and stumbling. I moved toward her, counting steps like Vincent taught me. 30 meters, 25, 20. That's when I heard the explosion. The explosion came from the warehouse to our left, where Vincent had positioned one of his sniper teams. Fire bloomed orange against the evening sky, debris raining down like violent confetti. Graves had found them, had planned for Vincent's strategy, just like Vincent predicted he would. Everything descended into chaos instantly. Gunfire erupted from multiple directions. Ryan's hand clamped on my arm, yanking me backward. Lily screamed, frozen between both sides. Graves's men opened fire, and Vincent's team returned it. "Get down!" Ryan shoved me behind a concrete barrier, his body covering mine as bullets ricocheted off stone and metal. "Where's Lily? Vincent has her." Sophie's voice crackled through the earpiece. "But Graves still has Camilla. He's moving to the vehicles." I risked looking around the barrier, saw Vincent pulling Lily toward safety, saw Graves dragging Camilla toward a black SUV, using her as a shield. My best friend, terrified and helpless because of me. I can't let him take her. I started to move, but Ryan held me down. "You go out there, you die." His voice was hard. "That's not helping anyone. She's my best friend." Everything in me screamed to do something, anything. And she'd want you alive. Ryan returned fire at targets I couldn't see. "Boss will get her. Trust him." But Vincent was pinned down with Lily, trapped behind his own vehicle by concentrated fire from Graves's positions. He couldn't reach Camilla without abandoning the teenager he'd just saved. Graves' voice cut through the chaos, amplified somehow. "Kane, you want your little nurse friend? Meet me at the North Warehouse in 10 minutes. Alone, or I put a bullet in both their heads and dump them in the harbor." The gunfire stopped as suddenly as it started. Eerie silence fell, broken only by the crackle of flames from the destroyed sniper position. Graves had retreated, taken Camilla with him. Vincent emerged from cover, blood on his shoulder but moving. "Boss, you're hit." Ryan observed through his scope. "It's nothing." Vincent's voice was tight with pain and fury. "Lily, are you hurt?" Lily's sob came through clearly. "No, I'm okay. Where's Camilla? Graves has her." Vincent looked toward where the SUV had disappeared. "He's trying to isolate me, separate me from support. It's a trap." Sophie's voice was urgent. "The North Warehouse is perfect ambush terrain. You go in there alone, you're dead." "I know." Vincent checked his weapon, reloaded. "Ryan, get Lily back to base. Take Elena with you." "No." I pulled away from Ryan before he could stop me. "This is because of me. Let me fix it." Vincent's eyes found mine across the distance. "Absolutely not. He wants me, not Camilla." I moved toward him despite Ryan's protests. "Use me as bait. I walk in, draw his focus. You come in from another angle. That plan ends with you dead." Vincent blocked my path. "Not happening. Camilla is there because I asked her to help find me after Tyler was killed." I met his stare. "She risked everything for me. I won't abandon her to Graves because you want to protect me. I'll protect both of you." Vincent grabbed my shoulders. "But I need you to trust me and stay back." Sophie's voice interrupted. "Vincent, we have 10 minutes. If you're going, decide now." "I'm going." He released me, turned to Ryan. "Take Elena and Lily back." "That's an order." "Boss." Ryan's protest was clear. I said, "Take them back." Vincent's tone left no room for argument. "I'll handle Graves." He moved toward his vehicle before I could respond, calling orders to his remaining team. I stood there, watching him prepare to walk into a trap to save my friend, and felt something crack inside me. He would die for people he barely knew, because his code demanded it. Because I'd asked it of him. Ryan touched my arm. "Come on. We need to go." I let him lead me toward the extraction vehicle, Lily following close. But my mind was racing, calculating. Graves wanted me specifically, wanted me badly enough to orchestrate this entire confrontation. If I could get to that warehouse before Vincent, if I could give Graves what he wanted, maybe Camilla walked away alive. The thought formed fully as Ryan helped Lily into the vehicle. Before he could turn back to me, I ran. Sprinted toward the North Warehouse using cover of darkness and lingering smoke from the explosion. Behind me, Ryan shouted my name. I didn't stop. The warehouse loomed ahead, massive and dark. One entrance visible, probably others hidden. I approached carefully, hands raised, making myself obvious. "I'm here," I called out. "Elena Hart, the nurse you want. Let Camilla go and I'll come willingly." Silence stretched long enough that I thought maybe I'd guessed wrong. Then lights blazed on inside, illuminating the interior through broken windows. Graves appeared in the doorway, Camilla beside him, gun to her head. Well, his smile was vicious. "This is unexpected. Kane let you off the leash?" I came on my own. My voice steadied despite terror coursing through me. "Let her go. You wanted me, not her. Maybe I want both now." He studied me like merchandise. "You've caused me considerable trouble, Elena. Cost me money, reputation, 3 good men. That deserves compensation beyond 2 years of service." Camila was crying silently, eyes locked on mine. I tried to communicate reassurance I didn't feel. "What do you want?" I took a step closer. "On your knees." When I hesitated, he pressed the gun harder against Camilla's temple. Now, I knelt on concrete that smelled like oil and decay, felt broken glass cut through my jeans. Graves approached, keeping Camilla between us as a shield. Smart girl. He circled me slowly, though not smart enough to stay hidden. Kane must be losing his touch. Kane doesn't know I'm here. The lie came easily. I slipped away from his people. "Sure you did." Graves didn't believe me, but he didn't seem to care either. "Doesn't matter. You're here now, and that's what counts." He grabbed my hair, yanked my head back. Painful enough to make me gasp. I looked up at him. This man who trafficked humans and destroyed lives for profit. "Let Camilla go," I repeated. "I'll do whatever you want. Just let her leave. You're in no position to negotiate, but I'm feeling generous." He shoved me hard enough that I fell, caught myself on torn palms. "Your friend can go." After I'm sure Kane isn't about to storm in here playing hero. He's not coming. Another lie. I made sure of it. Then we wait. Graves pulled Camilla toward the back of the warehouse, gestured for me to follow. "On your feet. Walk ahead of me." Slowly. I stood, moved where he directed. The warehouse interior was larger than it looked outside, filled with old machinery and storage containers. Perfect place for an ambush. Perfect place to die. My mind raced through options. Fight back now, probably get shot. Wait for Vincent, probably get Camilla killed. Try to run, definitely get shot. Everything ended badly. Then I saw it. Movement in the shadows near the eastern wall. Too deliberate to be rats, too careful to be coincidence. Vincent hadn't waited. Had followed despite my stupid heroic sprint. Graves saw my eyes shift, read the recognition. He spun, gun moving from Camilla to the shadows, fired 3 times. The shots echoed deafeningly. Someone grunted in pain. Vincent's voice cut through. "Graves, it's over. You're surrounded." Surrounded? Graves laughed. "By what's left of your team after I bombed your sniper nest. I've got 3 vehicles of reinforcements outside. You're the one who's surrounded." Then we're at an impasse. Vincent emerged from cover, weapon trained on Graves. "You can't leave without going through me. I can't reach you without you shooting the hostages. Where does that leave us?" "Leaves me making an offer." Graves pulled Camilla tighter against him. "Walk away now. Leave the nurse. I'll let this one go unharmed. You get to keep your honor by saving one of them. Not acceptable." Vincent's gun never wavered. Both women leave, or nobody does. I felt it then. The shift in Graves's desperation. He was cornered, knew it, and cornered animals were most dangerous. His grip on the gun changed, preparing to shoot. I didn't think. Drove my elbow back into Graves's ribs with everything I had. The shooting lessons, the defensive training Ryan had drilled into me, all of it crystallized into that single movement. Graves's grip loosened for half a second. I twisted, knocked his gun arm up. The shot went wild. Camilla broke free, ran toward Vincent. Graves recovered faster than I expected, backhanded me hard enough that I tasted blood. Pain exploded across my face, but Vincent was moving. Closed the distance in seconds. tackled Graves before he could aim at me again. They went down hard, fighting for control of the weapon. I scrambled backward, giving them room. Camilla reached me, grabbed my hand. We need to go. Not without Vincent. I pulled her toward better cover behind a storage container. Watched the fight with my heart in my throat. Vincent was skilled, brutal efficiency in every movement. But Graves was desperate and vicious. They crashed into equipment, broke through rotted wooden pallets, blood marking their path. The gun skittered away from both of them. Graves pulled a knife. Vincent rolled, avoided the slash by inches. Grabbed Graves' wrist, slammed it against metal until the blade fell. Then it was just fists and rage. I wanted to help, wanted to do something. But approaching would just distract Vincent, create openings for Graves to exploit. The fight ended when Vincent got behind Graves, arm across his throat, choking him out with controlled force. Graves struggled, face going red, then purple, then stopped moving. Vincent held the position for 10 more seconds, making sure. When he finally released, Graves crumpled unconscious to the concrete. Is he dead? My voice came out rough. Not yet. Vincent stood, breathing hard, blood running from a cut above his eye. But he's done. His people will scatter without leadership. The threat's over. Ryan burst through the entrance then, 6 guards with him, weapons ready. Secured the scene with practiced efficiency. Found 3 of Graves's men hiding in the back, disarmed and restrained them. Sophie's voice came through the earpiece. Vincent? Status? Secure. He looked at me, at Camilla, making sure we were intact. Both hostages safe. Graves is neutralized. The relief in Sophie's response was audible. Good. Get out of there. Police are 10 minutes out from all the gunfire reports. We left quickly. Ryan's team handled cleanup, removing evidence of our presence. Vincent guided Camilla and me to the extraction vehicle personally. You shouldn't have run. He told me once we were moving. That was incredibly stupid. I know. I held Camilla as she cried against my shoulder. But it worked. It could have gotten you killed. His voice carried weight. Don't do that again. Can't promise that. I met his eyes. Not when people I love are in danger. Something shifted in his expression. Softened. We'll discuss boundaries later, after everyone's safe. The drive back to Portland felt endless. Camilla clung to me, traumatized but alive. Lily sat across from us, equally shaken. 2 innocent people caught in violence they never asked for, saved by criminals with their own code. When we finally reached the estate, Dr. Harris was waiting. Checked everyone for injuries, treated Vincent's various cuts and bruises, confirmed my concussion from Graves's hit hadn't worsened dangerously. Sophie took Lily and Camilla to guest rooms, promised them safety and answers in the morning. I stayed with Vincent while Harris finished bandaging the knife wound across his ribs. You're staying here tonight, Vincent said after Harris left. Not negotiable. I need to know you're safe. I wasn't planning to argue. I settled onto the couch in his private study. Exhaustion overwhelming adrenaline finally. Camilla's safe. Lily's safe. Graves is neutralized. It's over. Almost. Vincent joined me, moved carefully around his injuries. Graves is alive. That means consequences. Legal, criminal, political. The next few weeks will be complicated while we handle fallout. But I'm not in danger anymore. That was what mattered. Not from him. Vincent's hand found mine. But from what comes next. From choosing to stay in my world, knowing what it entails. That's different danger. I know. I leaned against him. Felt him wince slightly but not pull away. And I'm choosing it anyway. Why? He asked quietly. You could leave now. Take Camilla. Start over somewhere safe. Because safe isn't the same as happy. I looked up at him. Because you make me want to fight instead of hide. Because this, what we have, feels worth the risk. We barely know each other. His protest was weak. Then we learn. I kissed him gently, mindful of his split lip. We have time now. No death threats, no immediate danger. Just time to figure out what we are. I'd like that. Vincent pulled me closer, careful of both our injuries. For the first time in years, I'd like to try something real. We fell asleep there. tangled together on expensive furniture. Survivors of violence holding each other through the night. Outside, guards patrolled. Somewhere, Graves was being transported to whatever justice Vincent deemed appropriate. The world continued its complicated turning. But in that moment, in Vincent's arms, I felt something I hadn't felt since my parents died. I felt like I'd found home. 3 weeks after Portsmouth, I woke up nauseous for the third morning in a row. At first, I blamed stress. The aftermath of Graves's capture had been complicated, involving federal investigations that Vincent's lawyers navigated carefully, territorial disputes with organizations that saw his victory as weakness, and my own processing of everything that had happened. But when the nausea persisted past noon, medical training kicked in. I counted back weeks, did the math I'd been avoiding, and felt my stomach drop for reasons that had nothing to do with morning sickness. Dr. Harris confirmed it that afternoon with a blood test. Pregnant. Approximately 4 weeks, which lined up with the night before the Portsmouth confrontation, the night Vincent and I had stopped pretending we could maintain distance. I sat in the medical office after Harris left, staring at the test results, trying to process what this meant. A baby. Vincent's baby. In a world where violence was business and danger was constant. Sophie found me there an hour later, still holding the paper like it might change if I looked long enough. "You're pale." She settled into the chair beside me. "What did Harris say?" "I'm pregnant." The words felt surreal leaving my mouth. Sophie's eyes widened. "Does Vincent know?" "Not yet. I finally set the results down. I don't know how to tell him. We've barely figured out what we are to each other. And now there's this. He'll be terrified." Sophie's honesty was refreshing, but in a good way. Vincent spent his whole adult life protecting people. A child of his own will undo him completely. That's what scares me. I looked at her. We live in a dangerous world. People tried to kill us 3 weeks ago. How do we bring a baby into this? The same way every parent does. Sophie's voice was gentle. With love and protection, and doing your best. Yes, our world is complicated, but Vincent is already planning his exit strategy from illegal operations. This will just accelerate that timeline. You think he'll be happy? I needed reassurance I had no right to ask for. I think he'll be overwhelmed and protective and probably impossible for a few weeks. Sophie smiled. But yes, happy. You're giving him family, Elena. Real family. That's everything to him. I decided to tell him that night. Vincent had been in meetings all day, handling business I didn't ask about. When he finally came to his study where I was reading, exhaustion lined his face. Long day? I set the book aside. Territorial negotiations with the organization that moved into Graves's territory. He poured whiskey, drained it, poured another. They think they can push boundaries because we're still recovering from Portsmouth. And I knew better than to ask if he'd resolved it peacefully. They understand now where boundaries remain. He settled beside me, tension slowly leaving his shoulders. "How was your day?" "Eventful." I took the whiskey from his hand, set it aside. "We need to talk." His attention sharpened. That phrase never precedes good news. It's not bad news. At least I don't think it is. I took his hand, pressed it against my still flat stomach. "I'm pregnant." Vincent went completely still. The kind of stillness that came before either violence or complete emotional breakdown. His eyes searched mine, looking for the joke, the uncertainty, anything but confirmation. "You're sure?" His voice came out rough. "Blood test this afternoon. About 4 weeks along." I watched his face carefully. "I know this isn't planned. I know the timing is complicated, but I need to know what you're thinking." "I'm thinking." He paused, seeming to struggle for words Vincent Kane never struggled with. "I'm thinking I don't deserve this. Don't deserve you or this child. But I want it so badly I can't breathe." Relief flooded through me. "You're sure?" "Am I sure?" He pulled me into his lap, careful and reverent. "Elena, you're giving me a family, something I thought died with my parents. How could I be anything but sure?" I kissed him then, tasting whiskey and relief and future all mixed together. When we finally pulled apart, his hand had moved back to my stomach. Protective, even when there was nothing to protect yet. "I'm going to do this right." His voice carried absolute conviction. Accelerate the transition to legitimate business. Move operations into management I trust. Get us somewhere safe, somewhere our child can grow up without guards and violence and constant threat. That's a big change. I studied his face. Are you sure you can walk away? I've wanted out for years. Just never had reason enough to justify the risk. He kissed my forehead. Now I do. Our child will know their father as a businessman, not a criminal. That's my promise. The next few weeks were transformation. Vincent met with lawyers, accountants, the heads of allied organizations. Began transferring territories and operations to trusted people who could maintain what he'd built. Started legitimizing assets through businesses that could withstand scrutiny. Sophie threw herself into the legal work, creating corporate structures that would protect the family while allowing Vincent's exit. Ryan began training his replacement, a younger lieutenant who'd proven both loyal and capable. I continued working with Dr. Harris, though we both knew that would end once I started showing. The household treated me differently now. Deferential in new ways, protective beyond what security demanded. I was carrying the heir to the Kane family legacy, even if that legacy was changing. Camilla visited often. She'd returned to Boston after Portsmouth, but kept in close contact, understanding now what Vincent's world entailed, and accepting that I'd chosen it. "You're really doing this," she said during one visit, watching Vincent across the room discussing business with Ryan. "Building a life with him. I really am." I touched my stomach. Still flat at 8 weeks, but growing. He's not who I expected. But he's who I choose. He's good to you. That's what matters. Camilla squeezed my hand. "Just promise me you'll be careful. That baby deserves to know their mother." "I'm careful," I assured her. "And I'm protected. Vincent has guards on me constantly now." That was true. Vincent had assigned 3 guards specifically to me. They maintained distance, but were always present. At first it felt suffocating. Eventually I stopped noticing. The threat came in March, exactly as Sophie had predicted months ago. Cameron Graves, Julian's younger brother, was released from federal prison. Within a week, intelligence indicated he was in Boston, gathering what remained of his brother's organization. Vincent called an emergency meeting. "Cameron wants revenge." His voice was calm, but his eyes betrayed concern. "Julian is in federal custody for trafficking and attempted murder. Cameron blames me for destroying their empire." "What's his play?" Ryan studied the intelligence reports. He doesn't have the resources Julian had. Most of the organization scattered. He has desperation and rage. Vincent looked at me. That makes him unpredictable and dangerous, especially now that he knows about Elena and the baby. My hand moved protectively to my stomach. How does he know? Information leaks. Always. Sophie's expression was grim. "We've been careful, but word gets out. Cameron has informants, people still loyal to the Graves name. So what do we do?" I asked. "Increase security." Ryan answered before Vincent could. "Lock down protocols until Cameron makes his move. He'll make it at the fundraiser." Sophie pulled up a calendar. The Children's Hospital event in 2 weeks. Public venue. Hundreds of witnesses. Cameron wants humiliation as much as revenge. We cancel. Vincent decided immediately. "We can't." Sophie shook her head. "It's been planned for months. Major donors, press coverage, politicians. Canceling raises questions we can't afford during the legitimacy transition. Then we use it." I spoke before thinking. "Set a trap. If Cameron wants to make a move publicly, we prepare for it." "Absolutely not." Vincent's response was immediate. "You're not being used as bait." "I'm not suggesting bait." I leaned forward, thinking through the strategy. "I'm suggesting we control the environment. Heavy security disguised as event staff. Plainclothes guards mixed with guests. We make it look normal while being prepared for anything." Vincent looked at Ryan. "Could we secure a venue that thoroughly? The Riverside Hotel where it's scheduled has good bones." Ryan pulled up building schematics. Multiple exits, strong sight lines, security room we could commandeer. "Yeah, we could lock it down." Vincent studied me. "You understand the risk?" "I understand that running from threats didn't work before." I met his stare. "I understand that Cameron needs to be dealt with or we'll always be looking over our shoulders. And I understand that you'll have enough security there to protect an army." He didn't like it. Every line of his body screamed resistance. But slowly, he nodded. We do this carefully. You stay with Ryan at all times. Any sign of threat, you're evacuated immediately. Agreed. I could accept those terms. The 2 weeks of preparation were intensive. Vincent's team mapped every inch of the hotel, positioned guards in every strategic location, ran through dozens of scenarios. By the time the event arrived, I felt as prepared as possible. The ballroom looked beautiful. Sophie had outdone herself with elegant decorations that masked the extensive security underneath. 200 guests mingled, completely unaware of the armed guards mixed among them. I wore a dress that hid my barely visible baby bump, hair and makeup done professionally, playing the role of Vincent Kane's partner at a legitimate charity event. Normal, except for Ryan 3 feet away, and the vest I wore under the expensive fabric. Vincent gave the planned speech about supporting children's health care, wrote a substantial check from the family foundation, charmed donors with ease that still surprised me. He was good at this. Could have been fully legitimate if circumstances had been different. Then I saw the man near the exit. Wrong posture, wrong attention pattern, watching Vincent instead of the presentation. Ryan, I murmured, touching his arm. 3 o'clock. Black suit. I see him. Ryan's hand moved subtly to his weapon. Sophie, confirm identity of male guest southeast exit. Sophie's voice came through the earpiece instantly. Not on guest list. Running facial recognition. The man moved. Not toward Vincent. Toward me. Ryan shifted, blocking his path. 3 other guards converged, subtle but deliberate. That's when chaos erupted. 4 men moved simultaneously from different positions. All armed, all targeting Vincent, me, or Sophie. This wasn't assassination. It was statement. Cameron wanted to destroy everything Vincent cared about publicly. Ryan shoved me behind him, weapon drawn. Other guards responded instantly. Civilians screamed, dove for cover. The ballroom descended into panic. I saw Vincent across the room, taking down one attacker while 2 of his guards handled another. Saw Sophie directing evacuation through secured exits. Saw Ryan exchange fire with the man closest to us. Then one got through. Came from angle we hadn't covered, gun raised, aimed at me. At the baby. Time slowed. I saw his finger on the trigger. Saw Ryan turning but too slow. Saw Vincent's face across the distance, recognizing he couldn't reach me. Training took over. I dropped. Rolled like Ryan had taught me. Grabbed the small weapon I'd hidden in my dress against everyone's advice. Came up firing. 1 shot. Center mass. Like Vincent had drilled into me on the range. The man went down. Dead before he hit the floor. I'd killed someone. Taken a life deliberately. The realization should have broken me. Instead, I felt only cold efficiency. Ryan pulled me up, checked for injuries. You good? I'm good. My voice sounded distant. Is Vincent? Boss is fine. He's already moving toward us. The remaining attackers were subdued quickly. Cameron's people, all hired muscle with more desperation than skill. Police arrived within minutes, but Vincent's lawyers were faster. The narrative was controlled carefully. Attempted robbery at charity event. Private security responded appropriately. Elena Kane, pregnant civilian, defended herself when directly threatened. Justified shooting, no charges filed. The media ran with it for days. Vincent Kane, reformed businessman, nearly killed at his own charity event. His brave partner, carrying his first child, forced to shoot her attacker. Public opinion swung completely in our favor. Cameron Graves was arrested trying to flee the city. Charged with conspiracy to commit murder, multiple counts. Federal prosecutors were pushing for life without parole. The threat was over. Actually, finally over. Vincent held me that night after everything calmed. You killed someone today. He said it gently. That changes you. I know. I was still processing, but I'd do it again. To protect our baby. To protect you. I'd do it without hesitation. I'm sorry you had to. He kissed my hair. Sorry this world required that from you. I chose this world, I reminded him. Chose you. Chose us. Everything else comes with it. We're done after this. His voice carried absolute conviction. No more threats, no more violence. We're going completely legitimate, raising our child somewhere safe. Where? I asked. Wherever you want. He pulled back to look at me. House in the suburbs, apartment in the city, estate in the country. Your choice. Just somewhere we can be family without guards and guns and constant vigilance. I want that, I admitted. Want normal. Want our baby to grow up without knowing any of this. Then that's what we'll have, Vincent promised. Starting now. 3 months later, I stood in an actual hospital, legitimate and clean, holding our daughter. 7 pounds, healthy lungs, her father's dark eyes. Vincent cradled her like she was made of glass. This man who'd killed without hesitation, looking completely undone by 8 pounds of infant. She's perfect, he whispered. What should we name her? Grace. I decided weeks ago. After your mother. Vincent's eyes met mine, emotion raw in them. Grace Catherine Kane. He tested it. It's perfect. Sophie arrived an hour later with Camilla, both crying happy tears. Ryan waited outside, having insisted on standing guard even at the hospital. Doctor Harris checked us both, declared us healthy, seemed genuinely pleased. We'd moved to a house in Portland's suburbs. Normal neighborhood, good schools, white picket fence that Vincent found endlessly amusing. His operations were fully transferred, his businesses completely legitimate, his past carefully buried under legal protections. Some nights, I still had nightmares about Portsmouth, about the man I'd killed at the fundraiser. But Vincent was always there, holding me through them, reminding me that survival wasn't something to regret. Looking at our daughter, at Vincent's expression of complete adoration, at the life we'd built from violence and chaos, I couldn't regret anything. Every choice, every risk, every moment of terror had led here. To family, to safety, to home. Grace yawned, tiny and perfect. Vincent laughed, delighted by everything she did. I settled back against the pillows, exhausted and content. We were going to be fine. All of us. The dangerous man I'd fallen for was now just a father, devoted and protective. The world we'd survived together was behind us. Ahead was only future. Bright and chosen and ours. That was enough. More than enough. It was everything.